Today I'm going to share some big updates about me personally and what's going on in my life. I'm going to do some big channel updates and talk about what's coming next. But before we do, let's open up our daily star chest because as you know, I'm a lunatic and I committed to opening up a star chest in every video I publish until every one of my units is ultimate. And if you like that, consider subscribing because who doesn't want their daily dopamine hit from a star chest? GG! Here we go, baby. Come on. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Nah, it can't be good. Can it be good? We good? Blue. GG. Whoa. Bro. Let's go to some games and we got a lot to talk about, y'all. All right, let's start with some big personal news. This is actually really, really exciting. I'm having a baby and it's a baby boy. I'm so hyped. And by the way, the baby is due this month. It's actually a race with Halloween. Okay, now there's a bunch of stuff to talk about here. First of all, why are you only like just announcing this, Chisgule? And this is a little bit complicated, but here's the story. Well, the short version of the story anyways, because it's a long one. But when my wife and I were originally trying to get pregnant, she had what's called a molar pregnancy. And most people aren't interested in all the medical stuff, but like the long story short is that there's like a random chance that like 1 in 2,000 times that a woman gets pregnant, you're not having a baby, you're having a tumor. And it's a very weird thing in the United States of America right now because you actually can't get medical treatment in a lot of places because they're like, well, technically it sort of is where a baby's supposed to be. I'm not going to get into the weirdness here, but it's a very scary and unpleasant experience where for a long period of time, you're like, is this a baby or am I dying of cancer? Which is it going to be? And so thankfully she's fine. Everybody's healthy. And since having that molar pregnancy, we've had happy, healthy babies, which is amazing. But now we're about to have a baby boy. And so that's why I kind of don't like announce or really like talk about like, hey, we're having a baby until like baby's almost here. So the baby's almost here. It's a boy. I've got 2 other girls who have been on stream before in the past and they're lovely. One is, gosh, gonna be turning 5 soon, which is kind of crazy. And the other is 1.5. So we feel very, very fortunate that we've got a baby boy on the way. That's 3 kids. 3 kids for me, I'm good. 3 kids, we're done. We're done. No more babies. And pretty happy that like we got, you know, girls and a boy. So we got like, you know, the full thing. And by the way, my wife was from a family where she had an older sister and a younger brother. So it like totally mirrors what her family was like, which is going to be pretty cool. And it also totally mirrors what my mom's family was like. I just have 1 sibling. It's a sister. So 3 kids for me felt like kind of a stretch, but I feel like it's working out. And at the end of the day, I was kind of like, hey, you know, whatever my wife wants, she's basically going to get. But I actually kind of, okay, so funny story. I actually kind of negotiated a little bit because I really, you know, I envisioned in my life like 2 kids. But what I said was, if you do the diapers, then we can do a 3rd kid. And she's like, okay, bet. And I was like, oh, this actually worked. I actually just negotiated to not have to do diapers. So I still do diapers every now and then, but not as much as I would have had to have done. Let's go. So anyways, relationships, everybody's got a unique situation and ours is going great. Oh man. Yeah, I'm sure I'll end up having to do a bunch of diapers. So all that to say, I'm really hyped. It's a race with Halloween. And I really wanted to talk about this. I haven't actually posted about this on my other channel yet, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in part for the reasons that I mentioned, but it's like kind of time to start talking about it because we're in a race. We're in a race with Halloween. And for those of you that are checking out my main channel as well, you know that right now we're staying at my in-laws' place. We had some work done on the house. We wanted to get it done before the baby came because after the baby comes, we're not doing anything. Like, that's it. We're not traveling anywhere. We're not doing anything. So it's just like the kids are going to be enough to keep us super busy. We don't need housework happening on top of that. So it's now, because of delays that were no fault of our own, kind of a race to the finish line with the construction on the house, which should be all wrapped up this coming week, with Halloween, and when is this baby gonna land? Okay, so whew, happy Really happy about the new baby, and that all the house stuff's going to be done probably before we get home. Now, if you are also subscribed to my other channel, there's two things that you know. The first is that we also actually have someone staying with us right now. It's one of my childhood best friends. So this has just been a really cool experience. He went to France with his family, and he's got, a wife and a kid, and very recently started a new job, and this is like a thing they really wanted to do, is to live abroad for a time, which, it's a bummer for us that they've left the country, but we're happy for them to be doing what they enjoy. But there were visa issues for them, so we had to come back to the US to get that sorted out, and he's staying with us. So this is kind of a special time. Like, once you get older, you don't get to, like, have a childhood best friend sleep over for, like, weeks on end without obligations besides his work, which he's still doing. So I've been spending a bunch of time, with one of my childhood best friends, which is, again, this is like a very special time. If you ever have the opportunity to like do something like this, unless you set up vacations with your best friends when you're older, like you don't get to do something like this. He has no obligations, because his kids, they're still in France. So, besides work, we get to like hang out and do stuff. So one of the things we were doing the other night was actually playing Magic the Gathering. We did a little sealed tourney, he and I, and this is something that he and I used to do a lot. We'd play Magic the Gathering. Now, if you subscribe to the channel, you know I like Magic the Gathering because I applied Marshall Sutcliffe's limited resources quadrant theory to drafting and squad busters, right? Tying it all together. Chisgule's tying it all together. So the idea is that units are either really good in development when you're like growing your squad, which is true for squad busters, right? Like Greg is really good in development. You've got units that like Jesse that's really good in development. And then you've got units that are better like to break an even state, like the battle healer can swing a fight majorly in your favor, or even a BK, right? Things you can draft when you're ahead that are like really insane when you're winning, like El Primo I've described as like a win more unit. You're busting enemy units and then you start doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And there are things to draft that are like really good when you are very far behind and can maybe bring you back into the game. And that used to be largely like what mega units are for, but that's also now the role that lucky finds are for. And like I think those are a very critical, good part of the game. But anyways, so, he and I are doing the, a little bit of magic on the side, but there's just so much going on. Oh my God. I low-key lost my train of thought watching this ring grab game here going on at the same time. I need to do something here to get into first. Bandit A-Nant, I think the Optimus Prime could be pretty good. Picking up those coins seems pretty good. So, right, on the topic of video frequency on this channel. So I got a lot going on. I got my friend in town, and I want to spend a bunch of time with him before he basically, goes back to France. I'm not going to see him again for, who knows, maybe 3 years. I've got this baby on the way, and on my other channel, I've got a new game starting. So that game is Age of Empires Mobile. They sponsored me to fly to Gamescom, which was amazing. And I got to spend time in Germany and attend this huge event for Age of Empires Mobile. But like, I played a ton of Age of Empires as a kid, and city building war games is what I cover on my other channel. And I say my other channel, but it's really my main channel. I've got almost 250,000 subscribers over there. And I've been covering games like Rise of Kingdoms, which is what I built the channel on, Call of Dragons, which is also made by the makers of Rise of Kingdoms. And on this channel, I've covered other city building war games like Infinite Galaxy, Lord of the Rings, Rise to War, War and Order, and others. By the way, this game is a throwback game. I freaking loved this modifier. The Unicron attacks was the best, bro. The game was just better. The game, in my opinion, the game peaked for me from a gameplay standpoint with this mod. This is it. This is the best the game has ever been for me. Anyways, I have some games recorded from that, and I really miss this. So I've got a huge group going for Age of Empires Mobile. We've got over 600 people signed up to play with us, and that group is continuing to grow literally every single day. And I think that is really kind of my sweet spot for games, and what people watch me for is city building war games. It's what I've been known for the last, honestly, almost like 6 years of making content. Squad Busters was very much a step in a different direction. And I've talked about this before, how city building war games are all thinking and very little action, because the actions you take are irreversible and expensive as all get out. Whereas this is a game where like it's mostly action and very little thinking. Not that you don't make thoughtful choices as you play this game, but there's nothing you can do that, you know, is a multi-$1,000 decision that you're making, right? Like, yeah, I mean, okay, you can buy star chests and spend a bunch of money, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about allocating in-game stuff being costly and irreversible. And in general, I would actually make the argument that costly, irreversible decisions make for really good content, because people want to know what optimal actually is, and they would rather see somebody else spend first and you figure it out for them. So my sort of strategy, and I'm very open about this, in city building war games is like, yeah, I'm going to spend the money, I'm going to do the things, and you learn from me not because I say something is like good because I think it's good. I say it is or isn't good because I've actually spent the money and I'm using it, and I can tell you based on my experience, not just what I think. Yeah, when I was deciding sort of, do I spend that same kind of money in Squad Busters, a part of what I've always been looking at is, you know, like, how popular is Squad Busters compared to other games right now? And right now, last I looked, Rise of Kingdoms has twice as much interest in Google Trends as Squad Busters does. So I still really enjoy Squad Busters, and I have no intention to stop playing this game. But I definitely will have some big stuff going on my other channel with Age of Empires mobile. And, you know, kind of for perspective, I had more viewership, I think, for for Call of Dragons launch when that game landed on my main channel than I did for Squad Busters, which is kind of wild. But all that to say, if Age of Empires mobile is really popular, that is certainly going to be holding a lot of my attention. There's really kind of no knowing how that's going to go. I'm really, really hopeful it will be extremely popular. And also, I think for a lot of people that are used to playing, you know, like Age of Empires, which is a, you know, real-time strategy game, the collection aspect of Age of Empires mobile, which is often the case with just mobile games in general, it's just going to be a different feel. So, like, how's that audience going to react? Well, we'll see really soon. So, as we go into Game 4 here in just a second, I guess what I'm pointing to is big stuff going on. Baby on the way. House reno. It wasn't a major house reno, but, like, I mean, I guess it kind of was. We did some work on the kitchen, because when we bought the house, this is so crazy, but we bought the house at, like, the lowest the interest rate will ever probably be in the US. Like, it was below 3%. And in hindsight, it's like, oh my gosh, like that's actually insane, how low that was. It'll probably never be that low ever again. But when we did that, we planned to do work on the house. Like, it was a more modest house, I guess the way I would say that. Knowing that, like, yeah, like, this kitchen has to be, the cannot continue to be that way. So I'm actually just, like, really hyped for this work on the house being done, but baby coming and all this stuff, I don't know, man. There will probably be a window of time where Squad Busters videos are not happening every day, and, like, that's what'll be happening. Just so you know what's going on in my life if there aren't videos. And I'll do a community post when the baby is, like, here and healthy and like is in her arms, and I'll probably post some pictures, but yeah, if there's a window of time where Chisgule has disappeared, it's a couple things could be possible. One is, like, Age of Empires mobile is just crushing it, and I've got a ton of content going there, but also probably babies happening. Age of Empires mobile global launches, I can't believe I didn't mention this earlier in the video, on the 17th. That's when that's happening. Now, there are a couple things I want to do before the baby comes on my main channel. So if you aren't subscribed to that, you could go check that out. I'll have a link in the description for that. But I really want to try some other Supercell games and cover that a little bit on my main channel. Like, I really want to play Clash of Clans, which sounds crazy, but I never actually played Clash of Clans, which is weird because I do city building war games. But what I would say about that is that a base builder is different than a city building war game. And I get that in Clash of Clans, there is like stuff that can be stolen from your base, but I feel like the Rise of Kingdoms lose your troops permanently is like it's just a totally different ball game and a totally different, I think, level of risk for what you're losing. Whatever. So I do want to try a bunch of other Supercell games as well, and I'm really amped for that. And consider using code Chisgule if you are going to spend in game. I'm actually like really honored that I was made a super creator for Squad Busters. And every time I open the game and play, I do really enjoy it. I will say though, you know, a couple things that very constructively I like hope they go and address would be like the fact that right now when I open a, you know, loot box and I'm getting a unit like Mavis that is only 4-star, but we know eventually they're going to add 5 stars, right? And they throw those units away and give you a little bit of the, you know, stuff you need to open a star chest. Every time that happens, there's like a part of my soul that's like, so like very constructively, I would love to see, you know, some of that stuff sort of change, but whatever. We're on this kaiju. I think I'm gonna get first in this game. I think we're gonna do this thing. I'm looking. I honestly. Oh yeah, fuck this guy. 20 seconds left. I'm being pretty aggressive, but I got that fuse prime, which lets me be really aggressive if that goes in front. This guy's getting cooked, bro. Oh yeah. Ooh, good lightning. Actually, he could take a few of my units here. I'm glad I ran. That makes a lot of sense. Queen. Oh, I'm gonna get cooked from behind. B is doing so much work for me this game. GG. Enjoyed the vid, throw a like on here, consider subscribing. It's gonna be a crazy couple months, but I'm looking forward to sharing some highlights with you as we go. GG's. Cards will be here and here for recent videos. And if you've got video ideas, leave a comment. I'm definitely looking for video ideas.